The day I found my husband sleeping in his car outside our house, pretending he had nowhere to go, was the day I realized the man I married had lost his mind. But what I didn't know was that this was just the beginning of the most insane 3 months of my life. If you think you know where this story is going, trust me, you don't. Subscribe and smash that like button, because this story will make you question everything you thought you knew about love and trust. My name is Adaze, and I need to tell you about the time my husband decided to test my loyalty by faking poverty. Yes, you heard that right. The man literally pretended to be broke just to see if I would leave him. And the crazy part? I had no idea it was all a game. It started on a Tuesday morning in September. I was in our kitchen in Lekki Phase 1, making breakfast, when Chidi walked in looking like someone had died. "Ada, we need to talk," he said, his voice shaking. I turned off the stove immediately. In 10 years of marriage, I had never seen my husband look this terrified. "What happened? Are you sick? Is it your mother?" He sat down at the kitchen table and put his head in his hands. "I lost everything." "What do you mean, everything?" "The business, the investments. Everything is gone. I made some bad deals, trusted the wrong people, and now, Ada, we're finished." I felt my legs go weak, but I sat down next to him and grabbed his hand. "Tell me exactly what happened." For the next hour, Chidi explained how his importing business had collapsed. He said he had invested heavily in a container shipment that got seized at the port. Then his business partner had run away with the remaining money. To make matters worse, he had taken loans from the bank using our house as collateral, and now they were threatening foreclosure. "How much do we owe?" I asked. 12 million naira. I felt like someone had poured ice water over my head. 12 million naira. Our house, our car, our comfortable life, everything was at risk. "We'll figure it out," I said, squeezing his hand. "We built this once, we can build it again." Chidi looked at me with tears in his eyes. "Ada, you don't understand. I have nothing left. No business, no income, nothing. We might lose this house. We might have to move to a one-room apartment in the mainland." "How can you be so calm?" "Because panicking won't help us," I said, even though inside I was screaming. "We're in this together, for better or worse, remember?" He hugged me tight, and I felt him trembling. My strong, confident husband was breaking down, and all I could do was hold him. The next few weeks were like a nightmare. Chidi claimed the bank had frozen our accounts. We had to cut down on everything. I stopped going to the salon, stopped buying meat from the expensive supermarket, started taking buses instead of Ubers. My friends noticed immediately. "Ada, why are you looking like this?" my friend Nosy asked when we met for lunch at our usual spot in VI. "Your hair needs retouching, and is that the same dress you wore last month?" "Things are just tight right now," I said, trying to smile. "You know how business can be, but Chidi's business is always booming." "What happened?" I wanted to tell her everything, but pride held my tongue. How could I admit that we were broke? That my husband had failed? That we might lose everything? Just some cash flow issues. "It'll pass." But it didn't pass. It got worse. Chidi came home one evening and said, "We have to move out. The bank is taking the house next week." "Where will we go?" I found a place in Agege. It's a self-contained room. It's all I can afford right now. Agege. From Lekki to Agege. From a 4-bedroom duplex to a single room. I felt tears sting my eyes, but I blinked them back. "Okay, we'll make it work." "Ada, you can leave if you want," Chidi said quietly. "Go back to your parents' house. This is not what you signed up for. You married a successful man, not a failure." I turned to face him, anger rising in my chest. "Chidi, listen to me very carefully. I didn't marry your money. I married you. If we have to live under a bridge, we'll live under a bridge together." Stop telling me to leave. He nodded, but I saw something strange in his eyes, something I couldn't quite read. Moving day was the worst day of my life. Watching men pack up our beautiful furniture, knowing most of it would go to storage we couldn't afford to keep for long, was like attending a funeral. Our neighbors watched from their windows, their faces full of pity and curiosity. The room in Agege was tiny. The landlord, Mr. Balagun, was a suspicious old man who counted our deposit money twice before accepting it. The neighborhood was loud and crowded, nothing like the quiet, clean streets of Lekki. Our new neighbors were friendly but nosy, always asking questions. "Sister Ada, your husband, what work does he do?" Mama Emeka from the next room asked on our first day. "He's looking for something new right now," I said diplomatically. She nodded knowingly. "This Lagos, everyone is looking for something. But don't worry, God will provide." That night, Chidi and I lay on our small mattress on the floor, staring at the ceiling with its peeling paint and visible water stains. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Stop apologizing. We'll get through this." But inside, I was terrified. I had started looking for jobs, but with my liberal arts degree and years of being a housewife, options were limited. I had been sending out applications, but nothing was coming through. Then things got even stranger. Chidi started leaving early in the morning and coming back late at night, claiming he was looking for investor meetings and trying to rebuild, but something felt off. His clothes were always clean, he never looked tired, and sometimes I caught him smiling when he thought I wasn't looking. One evening, I decided to follow him. I told him I was going to visit my sister, but instead I waited outside our compound and followed him when he left. He took a Danfo bus to Ikeja, then another to VI. My heart was pounding. Was he meeting another woman? Was this whole poverty thing a lie so he could divorce me and marry someone else? But then I saw where he went. A small restaurant in VI where he met with 3 men in expensive abatas. They were laughing, shaking hands, and discussing what looked like business documents. I watched from across the street, confused and angry. When he came home that night, I confronted him. "Who were those men you met in VI today?" His face went pale. "What are you talking about? I followed you, Chidi. I saw you in that restaurant with those businessmen." "You were smiling, laughing. You didn't look like a broke man to me." He sat down heavily. "Ada, I can explain. You better start explaining right now, or I swear I will pack my things and actually leave this time. They're investors. I've been trying to convince them to fund a new business venture. But Ada, they haven't agreed yet. I didn't want to tell you and give you false hope. You were wearing your expensive watch, the Rolex you said we had to sell." Chidi looked trapped. I borrowed it back from the buyer for the meeting. Investors need to see confidence." Something about his explanation felt wrong, but I was too tired to argue. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. The next month was harder. I got a job as a sales assistant at a boutique in Ikeja. The pay was terrible, 40,000 naira a month, but it was something. My boss, Mrs. Chen, was a Chinese woman who treated her staff like slaves. I stood for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, my feet aching and my pride crushed. One day, my old friend Chioma walked into the boutique. "Ada, is that you?" Her voice was loud with shock. "Hi, Chioma," I said, trying to smile. "What are you doing working here?" "Where is Chidi? I thought you guys were living large in Lekki?" "We moved. Things changed." She looked at me with undisguised pity. "Oh my God, Ada, I'm so sorry. If you need anything, let me know." After she left, I cried in the bathroom. The humiliation was crushing. But I dried my tears and went back to work because Chidi and I needed every kobo I could earn. Things got even worse when Chidi came home one evening and said, "I have to travel to Abuja for 2 weeks. There's a potential investor there who might fund the new business." "With what money? How will you afford hotels in Abuja?" "I'll stay with my cousin, and I saved a little from the money you gave me." "Wait, the money I gave him? I was giving him money from my measly salary so he could eat and move around, and he was saving it?" "Chidi, we need every naira right now. How can you be saving money for a trip when we can barely afford food?" "Ada, this is an investment in our future. If this investor agrees, we're back on top. Can't you see that? We fought that night. Really fought. I accused him of being irresponsible and selfish. He accused me of not supporting his vision. We both said things we didn't mean. Or maybe we meant them. I don't know anymore." He left for Abuja the next morning without saying goodbye. While Chidi was gone, something happened that changed everything. I was walking home from work one evening when I saw him, my husband, in Lagos, walking into a restaurant in Ikeja with a woman I didn't recognize. My blood ran cold. I followed them inside, my hands shaking. They sat at a corner table, laughing and talking. The woman was beautiful, light-skinned, curvy, wearing expensive clothes, everything I used to be and wasn't anymore. I marched straight to their table. "Chidi." He looked up, and the color drained from his face. "Ada, what are you doing here? What am I doing here?" "What are you doing here? I thought you were in Abuja." The woman looked confused. "Who is this Chidi?" "I'm his wife," I said, my voice rising. "Who are you? Wife?" The woman stood up. "Chidi, you told me you were single." No, Fumi, this is a misunderstanding," Chidi stammered. But I wasn't listening anymore. I turned and walked out of that restaurant, tears streaming down my face. Behind me, I heard Chidi calling my name, but I didn't stop. I walked and walked until I found myself at a bus stop, where I collapsed on the bench and sobbed. How could he do this to me? After everything I had sacrificed, all the humiliation I had endured, he was cheating on me? With a woman who clearly had money, while I was killing myself working at a boutique? I didn't go back to our room that night. I went to my friend Nogo's house and told her everything. "Ada, you need to leave that man," Nogo said firmly. "He's playing you." I never trusted that sudden poverty story. Something always felt off about it. "What do you mean? Think about it. A successful businessman loses everything overnight. His accounts get frozen, but he can still afford to travel to Abuja. He meets with investors in expensive restaurants, but claims he's broke. Ada, wake up." Her words planted a seed of doubt in my mind. Could Chidi have been lying this whole time? But why? What would be the point? I went back to our room the next evening to pack my things. Chidi was waiting for me. "Ada, please let me explain." "Explain what?" "That you're a liar and a cheat." "That woman Fumi, she's not my girlfriend. She's a business associate." "A business associate you told you were single?" "I never said that." "She assumed because I wasn't wearing my wedding ring, and I didn't correct her because I was embarrassed." "Embarrassed of what?" "Of this." He gestured around the tiny room. "Of being broke, of living in Ajay, of having my wife work at a boutique while I struggle to rebuild. Ada, I'm humiliated every day, and I couldn't bear to let business contacts see how low I've fallen. And you think I'm not humiliated? You think I enjoy having my old friends see me like this? But I did it, Chidi. I did it for us, and you repay me by lying and sneaking around." He grabbed my hands. "Ada, I'm not cheating on you. I swear on my mother's grave. Fumi is just a potential investor, nothing more." I wanted to believe him. God knows I wanted to. But trust, once broken, is hard to repair. "I need time," I said. "I'm going to stay with Ngozi for a while. Ada, please don't leave me. You left me the moment you started lying. I spent a week at Ngozi's place, thinking hard about my marriage. During that week, something strange happened. Chidi's cousin from Abuja called me. Sister Ada, how are you? I heard you and Chidi are having problems. We're managing, I said carefully. Sister, I need to tell you something. Chidi was never in Abuja. My heart stopped. What? He called me 2 weeks ago asking me to cover for him if you called. He said it was important for business. But, sister, I feel bad lying to you. Chidi has been in Lagos the whole time. After I hung up, I sat frozen. Chidi had lied about going to Abuja. He had been in Lagos. Doing what? Meeting with that woman? With other women? I made a decision then. I was going to find out the truth, once and for all. I hired a private investigator. It cost me 30,000 UN dollars, almost my entire month's salary, but I had to know. The investigator, Mr. Dyke, was a short, stocky man who promised to get me answers within 3 days. 3 days later, he called me to his office and showed me a folder full of photos. Photos of Chidi entering a massive house in Banana Island. Photos of Chidi driving a brand new Mercedes-Benz. Photos of Chidi having lunch at expensive restaurants. Photos of Chidi at business meetings where everyone treated him like the boss. Mrs. Chidi, Mr. Dyke said gently, your husband is not broke. In fact, according to my sources, his business is thriving. He owns that house in Banana Island. The car is registered in his name. He's been living a double life. I felt like the ground was swallowing me whole. All this time, all the suffering, the humiliation, the tiny room in ages, the terrible job. Everything had been a lie. Why? I whispered. Why would he do this? Mr. Dyke shrugged. You'll have to ask him yourself. I went back to AGG that evening. My heart filled with a rage I had never felt before. Chidi was sitting on our mattress, eating rice from a takeaway pack, watching football on his small phone. I threw the folder of photos at him. Who are you? I asked quietly. He looked at the photos and his face crumbled. Ada, who I screamed. Please, let me explain. Explain what? How you've been torturing me for 3 months. How you made me believe we were poor while you lived in a mansion. How you let me work like a slave while you drove around in a Mercedes. Explain that. Chidi stood up, his hands raised. It was a test, Ada. I had to know. A test? A test? I had to know if you really loved me, or if you loved my money. My friends kept telling me that women only stay for the money. After we lost Kanechukwu, and you seemed so distant, I thought maybe you blamed me for not being able to afford IVF. I thought maybe you were only staying out of pity or duty, not love. Kanechukwu, our son. We had lost him to sickle cell complications 2 years ago. He was only 5 years old. It had broken both of us, but we had grieved differently. I had withdrawn into myself, and Chidi had thrown himself into work. We had grown apart, yes, but I never stopped loving him. So you decided to torture me to prove a point? Tears were streaming down my face. You made me suffer, humiliated me, let me work myself to death, all because you wanted to test my love? What kind of sick person does that? Ada, I'm sorry. I know it was wrong, but I had to know. And now I know. You passed. You stayed. You loved me even when you thought I had nothing. Passed? I was hysterical now. This was a game to you? Our marriage is a game? No, Ada, listen. But I wasn't listening anymore. I grabbed my bag and started throwing my few clothes into it. What are you doing? I'm leaving. I'm done. You want to test people's love? Test yourself. See if you can love yourself after what you've done. Ada, please don't leave. I love you. I did this because I love you, I turned to face him, and I saw a stranger. You don't know what love is, Chidi. Love isn't about tests and games. Love is about trust, and you destroyed that. I walked out of that room and never looked back. The next few weeks were dark. I stayed with Ngozi, cried every day, ignored Chidi's hundreds of calls and messages. My family was calling too, asking what happened. Chidi had gone to my parents, begging them to convince me to come back. He had confessed everything to them. My mother called me one evening. Ada, come home. Let's talk about this. I went home to Enugu, back to my parents' house. My mother made my favorite soup, and we sat in the backyard where I used to play as a child. Tell me everything, she said. So I did. I told her about the fake poverty, the humiliation, the lies, everything. When I finished, my mother was quiet for a long time. Your father did something similar to me, she finally said. What? Before we got married. He pretended to be a taxi driver when he was actually a bank manager. He wanted to know if I would marry him regardless of his status. Mama, how did you handle it? I was furious. I almost called off the wedding, but my mother, your grandmother, told me something I never forgot. She said, "A man who tests you loves you, but lacks wisdom. The question is, are you wise enough to forgive?" I don't know if I can forgive this, Mama. She took my hand. Ada, I'm not telling you to go back to him. What Chidi did was deeply wrong. He hurt you, humiliated you, and betrayed your trust. But I want you to ask yourself one question. In those 3 months of suffering, did Chidi suffer with you? I thought about it. Chidi had lived in that tiny room with me. He had eaten the cheap food I cooked. He had held me when I cried at night. Yes, he had been lying, but he had also been there, enduring the same conditions he had created. Yes, I admitted, he suffered too. Then he's a fool, but not a wicked man. A wicked man would have watched you suffer from his mansion, but Chidi suffered alongside you, even though he didn't have to. That means something. I returned to Lagos 2 weeks later, but I didn't go back to Chidi. Instead, I got my own apartment in Surulere. I kept my job at the boutique because I liked the independence it gave me. I started therapy to deal with the trauma of those 3 months. Chidi reached out through my friends, through my family, through everyone we knew. He sent letters, gifts, flowers. He even showed up at my workplace once, causing such a scene that Mrs. Chen threatened to fire me if I didn't sort out my personal issues. 6 months after I left, Chidi finally stopped reaching out. I thought he had given up, and honestly, I felt both relieved and sad. But then I received a letter in the mail. Inside was a check for 15 million naira and a handwritten note. Ada, I know money cannot fix what I broke. This is not payment or compensation. This is what you earned. For 3 months you worked hard, sacrificed everything, and stayed by my side. You proved your love, and I destroyed our trust to get that proof. This money represents what you lost during those 3 months. Your dignity, your pride, your peace of mind. I calculated it based on what you would have earned and saved if I hadn't lied to you. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even expect you to cash this check. But I need you to know that I see what you gave up, and I honor it. I honor you. You are the strongest woman I know, and I am the stupidest man alive. Whether we stay apart forever or find our way back to each other, I want you to have this. Build the life you deserve, with or without me. Love always, Chidi. I sat in my small apartment staring at that check and crying. Not tears of sadness, but of release. For the first time in months, I felt truly free. Free to choose. Free to forgive or not forgive. Free to go back or move forward. I cashed the check. I used part of it to start a small catering business, something I had always dreamed of doing. The rest, I invested wisely with the help of a financial advisor. My business grew slowly but steadily. 1 year after leaving Chidi, I received an invitation to his mother's 70th birthday party. I almost didn't go, but something pulled me there. When I arrived at the event hall in Lekki, I saw Chidi for the first time in a year. He had aged. His hair had gray streaks I didn't remember, and there were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. But when he saw me, his whole face lit up like sunrise. "Ada, you came." "I came for Mama," I said firmly. "Of course, thank you." We stood awkwardly for a moment, then his mother appeared and pulled me into a tight hug. "Ada, my daughter, I've missed you so much. This foolish boy told me what he did." I nearly disowned him. "Mama, please," Chidi groaned. "Don't Mama please me. What you did was wicked and stupid. Ada, please come sit with me. I want to hear about this catering business you started. Chidi told me your jollof of rice is making waves in Lagos." We spent the evening talking, laughing, catching up. Chidi kept his distance, but I could feel his eyes on me the whole time. At the end of the night, as I was leaving, he walked me to my car. "You look happy," he said. "I am happy," I replied honestly. "Good. That's all I wanted, for you to be happy." "Chidi, can I ask you something? Was it worth it? The test?" He was quiet for a long time. "No, it wasn't worth it. I got the answer I wanted, but I lost everything that mattered. I'm sorry, Ada. For everything." "I forgive you," I said, surprising myself. His eyes widened. "You do?" "Yes. Not because what you did was okay. It wasn't. But because holding on to anger was destroying me more than it was hurting you. I forgive you for me, not for you." He nodded, tears in his eyes. "Thank you. That's more than I deserve." I got in my car and drove away, feeling lighter than I had in months. 2 years later, Chidi and I started talking again, just as friends at first. Coffee dates, phone calls, catching up on each other's lives. He had been going to therapy too, working through his trust issues and the grief we had never properly processed together after losing Kenechukwu. "I was so scared of losing you the way we lost our son," he admitted one day. "I think that's why I tested you. I needed to know you wouldn't leave me, but I created the very situation I feared most." "We both made mistakes," I said. "I shut you out after Kenechukwu died. I was so lost in my own grief that I didn't see how much you were hurting too." Slowly, carefully, we started rebuilding. Not our marriage, but our friendship. We attended grief counseling together. We visited Kenechukwu's grave and finally said the goodbyes we had been too devastated to say before. And somewhere along the way, I fell in love with him again. Not the old Chidi, but this new version. The one who had been humbled. The one who went to therapy. The one who respected my boundaries and didn't rush me. 3 years after I left, Chidi proposed to me again, not with a big gesture or expensive ring, but with a simple question over dinner in my apartment. "Ada, I know I don't deserve a second chance, but if you're willing, I want to spend the rest of my life proving that I learned from my mistakes. Will you marry me again?" I looked at this man who had broken me, and somehow, through pain and time and hard work, helped me become stronger. I thought about the journey we had both taken. I thought about forgiveness, redemption, and second chances. "Yes," I said, "but we're doing counseling first, and if you ever test me again, I'm keeping the house." He laughed through his tears. "Deal." We got remarried in a small ceremony with just our families and close friends. This time, our vows were different. Raw, honest. We promised not to test each other, but to trust. Not to manipulate, but to communicate. Not to pretend, but to be vulnerable. My mother was right. Chidi had been foolish, not wicked. and I had been wise enough to forgive when the time was right. Not too soon, but not never. Today, 5 years after that terrible test, we're happy. We've had another child, a daughter we named Kioma. Good God. My catering business has expanded into 2 restaurants. Chidi still has his import business, but he's learned to balance work and family. Sometimes, when I'm lying in bed at night, I think about those 3 months in Egej. The suffering, the humiliation, the pain. Part of me wishes it had never happened, but another part of me knows that those months taught me something invaluable. I am stronger than I ever knew. I can survive anything, and real love isn't about passing tests. It's about choosing each other every day, even when it's hard. Did Chidi's test prove I loved him? Yes, but it also proved he needed to learn how to receive love without questioning it. We both had lessons to learn. We both had growing to do. Marriage isn't about tests and games. It's about 2 imperfect people choosing to grow together through mistakes and forgiveness, through pain and healing. It's about building trust, not testing it. And if my story teaches you anything, let it be this. Never test the people you love. Trust them, choose them, show up for them. Because love isn't something you prove, it's something you live every single day. That's my story. The story of how my husband tested my love, and how we both learned what real love actually means.